Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. So, I was thinking of something helpful to tell some women why they should consider being more traditional. Now, there will always be people who are traditional in the terms of their culture, right? And people like pearly things keep saying traditional women this, traditional women that, and they're not really selling the idea of traditionalism very well by beating you over the head with the submit to your husband, submit to your husband, submit to your husband. It sounds like a bludgeon, and it really creates a fear response. Okay? Especially if you are an individual who has no one in your life to really look at in terms of a positive marriage. So, as someone who grew up in a broken family and had to change generational dysfunction and put in a lot of work, and I worked part time and went to college part time with my first child, and now I do everything in a hybrid way with my second child. I'm a stay at home mom. I've gotten to experience the pros and cons and nuance of both positions. Now, it's important for women to have sort of both responses. And what I will encourage you to do in your life is to make sure you know what you're getting into, you'll understand what it really feels like to be more traditional in that sense. So, I have a list of some pros and cons here. One of the cons is going to be you are going to be less independent. So, you will be more dependent. At first, this can feel very constricting, panicky even. I've had instances with my very first ever relationship where I was dependent and not allowed to use the internet, not allowed to leave the house, lived in the room, didn't even have a PlayStation or Xbox. It was a very abusive situation that I've spoken of many times. That was very unhealthy. And I didn't know how to drive. I had nowhere to really escape to. Was not allowed to have unsupervised phone calls. I was very young, 17 years old, and lived with in laws. I can't call them in laws because I wasn't married to him, but it was cohabitation, right? It was pretty much a nightmare, and I didn't have any way to escape until I got a job and was able to rent a room and leave that abusive relationship. So I understand what it feels like to be trapped financially and have no way out because you don't have money, and then having nowhere to run, and then having no one to help you. So now, when I have a provider man, I'm a kept woman, I'm a Muslim, and I'm a stay at home mom, and I have more trust and calmness and tranquility, being a kept woman and being dependent upon him isn't scary at all. And it's quite wonderful because I'm able to relax more in my femininity, not deal with customers at work. I was part of the restaurant world. And I don't have to have a nagging manager. And it is definitely a decline in money. I mean, when you work in the restaurant industry, the times that I was a server in fine dining restaurants, I could walk out with a nice chunk of change instantly after every shift. And now I have to ask him for money, and that can get uncomfortable sometimes, even though he's my husband, I don't have to feel shy. But it's definitely nice to have your own money that you made so that you can buy what you want and you don't have to kind of have your hand out and feel like a beggar, even though it's their job to provide. But I started working, having my own paper out since I was like 12 years old. I've only been a stay at home mom now for 2 years. So all my life I've had 2 or 3 jobs. It was a big change, but I get a lot of ability to control my stress. And I'm not really a people person, kind of more of a hermit, more closed off, more of a homebody. I don't have to fake smile anymore at work. I can just be very direct. I don't have to soften my tone. I don't have to put on the customer service facade. I can just be who I am. And that is quite relieving, I must say. So, if you would like to be a traditional woman, this really helps for people who, I don't want to say are antisocial, but people who are not charismatic butterflies who seem to be lovers of the social life. I think that if you are more reserved, being a stay at home mom and living a more traditional lifestyle in terms of gender roles will suit you well because you have more control over who is able to attack your mind with their drama. And I worked with my first child while pregnant as a server in a fine dining restaurant, and then with my second child, I was able to be a stay at home mom during my whole pregnancy. And I have to say, it was far superior to be a stay at home mom and just have peace, quietness, stillness, take naps, drink as much water as I wanted, use the restroom whenever I wanted. I didn't have to talk to anybody I didn't want to. And reducing stress while pregnant is extremely beneficial. And I'm not rich, so I'm not saying, oh, I live in a castle. No. But if your man is able to provide for you and you just have to kind of accept not having luxury, but you're provided for, you got good food, you got a roof over your head, the shower works, everything's functioning, plumbing's good. You're able to go out to dinner once in a while if you want, stuff like that, and he's providing for you. I'd say let the job go and just relax in your femininity and allow your body to just grow that beautiful baby and reduce all the evil eye upon your womb. I really think that you're able to just connect with your baby more when you're not working because your mind is on your body and you can relax with your other children and you can just pray. I mean, I loved doing my daily prayers and then feeling my baby move while I pray. It was just so spiritual, and I would cry sometimes when I would pray because I was just so thankful that I didn't have to work. And so being traditional in that sense can really help you as a woman when you're pregnant because you're not overextending your energy and letting people suck your vitality and constantly having people gaze upon your womb. You don't have to worry about feeling insecure around sexier women because when you're pregnant, you can feel strange around women showing their butts and their cleavage while you're growing your beautiful child, and it can make you actually resent your pregnancy, and that's not healthy for you. So while being pregnant, you can just slow your life down, keep away from lewd women in society, and learn how to relax at home and just be within your element. And that will help you to love your pregnancy more because some women, they carry their pregnancy in a tougher way. So you definitely don't want to be pushing yourself while pregnant and then end up causing a miscarriage due to the extreme stress, malnutrition, and emotional upheavals that come with it because you're going to be hormonal. And I'm not saying working causes miscarriages. You could be a stay-at-home mom and still have a miscarriage. However, you want to reduce threats to your womb, and being a stay-at-home mom in the traditional sense allows you to do that. I have never been in a corporate office where they have very fancy kitchens and you're just answering emails or whatever and going to meetings. That's definitely a different style, but if you have to talk to a lot of strangers and deal with tense situations and you're always arguing with people, I would say that it's better for you to go for the more soothing, calming path of being more traditional. So you won't have as much money and independence, but you have more peace of mind. Okay? And that is a benefit to having more traditional lifestyle. Because traditionally, what does that mean in this context that I'm using it and that others are using it? Is that you will have to be a homebody, to make comfort in the home. And this allows you to be calmer, allows you to bond more with your baby, as I said. So think about it. That's a sales pitch for the traditional lifestyle, as succinctly as I can put it. But when you're going to have your first baby, you may think you're going to be Wonder Woman, and there's some lunatic women showing themselves like running at high speeds while pregnant and lifting weights while pregnant, doing very risky behavior, and maybe their pregnancy worked out just fine. But don't think you have to be an Olympian while pregnant, and you just have to just remember that it's okay to recline and just let your body handle its job. When you have that propaganda of working pregnant women showing how strong they are, a lot of them suffer with low birth weight babies. And for example, my first child was 3 pounds and like 11 ounces. I was working, high stress, absolutely miserable, crying. I mean, it was totally horrible, and I really wish my man would not have let me work. But then, when I was a stay-at-home mom and grew my baby, my second child was 10 pounds, or 10 pounds, 4 ounces, something like that. So the drastic change in what my body was capable of was very apparent to me. And the doctors were quite baffled because they kept getting paranoid, thinking that I was going to have another small child, but I reclined in relaxation. I kept my mind focused and trusted in Allah, and I highly encourage you to consider this as well. Consider it as well. And you can still find ways to earn online if that's your desire, right? You can find little things to do that don't get in the way. But I would encourage you to consider the path of traditionality in a general sense. Jews have a different way of traditionality, Muslims, Christians, Amish, Mennonites, you name it. Everyone has their own very specific definition. However, in a general sense of traditionality, I would say that even though you're going to have less money to your own bank account because you're not working in the traditional sense, you will then have more peace of mind, though. And that will allow you to enjoy your pregnancy more, and you'll be able to keep evil away from you and harm away from you. And that is very important for your mental health and for the growth of your baby. So that is a benefit of choosing the more gender role traditional lifestyle. Yes, as I said, you personally will have less money if you don't have passive income. Leaving your job, your mainstream job. But when it comes time to have those beautiful babies, you will see the difference, as I did. And so instead of saying women are not needed in society, women's jobs are not as important as men's jobs, as pearly things bashes women over the head with, I will give you more of a persuasive pitch to help you make the best informed decision for your life and your circumstance. And like I said, I've experienced the horrible side of dependency and the good. And I will say, pick your man wisely and always have a way to escape. And if you don't have a family unit, you need to be very careful with what kind of man you pick. Because to depend on a man is to put your trust in him. And that is important for you to recognize. Let me know what you think. By the way, if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.